One of the most well-known cases in Thailand involved Wang Nan, a pregnant Chinese woman. This is the case of a husband who tried to kill his wife at a national park, claiming it was a terrible accident. However, it appears that the young mother and her kid were saved from death by an act of nature. The doctors who saved the victim's life and the investigators who looked into the case were actually surprised when the truth came to light, since they all believed that the husband was truly concerned about his wife and child. Welcome to True Crime. Let's get started. Wang Nan's story. In 1987, Wang Nan was born in Nanjing, a significant city and the former capital of China. Her parents worked hard to provide their daughter with the greatest education possible and to provide every opportunity for her to develop her abilities. The girl did well in school. Following her graduation, Wang Nan enrolled in a prominent university while also mastering many foreign languages. Following her diploma, the girl was hired by a major travel agency, where she quickly made a name for herself as a useful, trustworthy, and highly driven worker. She successfully advanced her career and was assigned to Thailand to lead a new branch and oversee its development. After a few years as a top manager, Nan made the decision to leave the travel agency and launch her own company. She opened a restaurant of Chinese national cuisine and managed it so successfully that soon her brainchild grew into a small but popular chain in Bangkok. Wang was a successful young entrepreneur who prioritized her profession over her personal life. Then she chose to enhance her abilities and joined more courses to learn Thai. She was always on the move, running somewhere and working non-stop. Moving on, now let's look at another interesting moment in her life. Meeting Yu. At the training center, Wang happened to meet a young man named Yu, who stared at her for a few minutes and then approached her in his native language. After a brief conversation, the man asked Nan why she was learning the language, to which she answered that it was essential for the growth of her business. Yu then suggested that they exchange business cards. Nan was not eager to continue chatting, but still, out of politeness, she handed him her business card, and he gave her his in return. Yu expressed significant interest in the young woman and called her the next day. However, she was busy with work and could not give the conversation even a couple of minutes and refused the offer to meet and have coffee. However, a few days later, he went up to her and made another invitation. Wang Nan agreed to see him and have dinner. So, the young woman plunged into a romantic relationship. A few days later, they got married early in the morning. It was a very strange wedding, with no guests, no rings, no dress or veil, and no memorable photos. Unstable family life. Let's go back 6 months to learn more about the couple's family life before discussing the events of that fateful day. Wang regretted her marriage almost the moment it was registered, but at first, she had hoped that he would be a dependable man, an acceptable partner, and someone she could rely on. However, her expectations were not fulfilled, and the new husband soon revealed his true colors. He didn't contribute anything to the family budget and just wasted his wife's money while spending practically all of his time at home playing video games. She also discovered that his export-import company was limited to business cards. Wang then saw how big of a mistake she had been to not even consider creating a prenuptial agreement, which would have allowed her husband to spend her earnings as he liked and to claim her assets in the event of a divorce. A few days later, her accountant called the young woman to ask about the withdrawal of a sizable amount of money from her account. The young lady was surprised since she hadn't taken any money, but she knew right away who had. Wang did not hesitate to contact the police. With that, it turned out that this was not the first time he had been on the radar of the police, and earlier back in his native China, he had served 8 years for robbery. However, Wang discovered that she was pregnant, which she informed her husband. He responded strangely, even aggressively, persuading his wife to have an abortion, which she strongly refused. Then the husband threatened divorce and said that he intends to seek through the court to divide the property. After a few days without speaking to his wife, he suddenly changed and apologized. He started to take care of things again, cook and assist with housework. Although Wang was at first doubtful, Nan eventually agreed with him because of his compelling reasons. Her husband picked the location, made hotel reservations, and arranged all the activities to ensure that the vacation would be interesting and educational, but not tiring for the pregnant woman. The incident. The pair spent the majority of the day in the park on June 7th, the day they first arrived. They took numerous walks and stopped at numerous picturesque locations and lookouts. On that summer Friday evening, the park had a huge number of visitors who were literally everywhere. Both of them planned to relax and sleep on Saturday and return to the reserve early on Sunday morning. On June 9th, early Sunday morning as planned, the couple went to the national park to admire the first rays of the rising sun. They left when it was still dark outside, having woken up around 3 a.m. in the morning. However, Yu climbed to the cliff and started to talk his wife into coming up to him so they could see the rock paintings. Wang was nervous, but her husband told her that it was secure and he would assist her in going down. The young woman climbed it carefully, trusting her husband. When Yu ran his hand through her hair, kissed his spouse on the cheek, and then leaned over to her ear and said, "Die." At that moment, he loosened his embrace and pushed his wife down the cliff. A miraculous rescue. Yu looked around once again to ensure that no one had noticed them. Then he took a look down, but he was unable to find his wife's body. He paid attention. Everything was silent. There were no screams or calls for help, indicating that there were also no witnesses downstairs. But, down below, a few hikers who had turned off the trail noticed the body lying on the rocks and immediately called the rescuers, reporting the incident. Yu had already left the reserve when several cars with flashers and sirens whizzed past him. He returned to the location where his wife had fallen as soon as he realized that something was wrong. There, he presented a pretty act, crying, screaming, and pleading for assistance. He was sure at the time that his wife had passed away and that no one would find out the truth. However, Wang got caught in the tree branches throughout the fall, slowing down her fall, and landed first on the bushes before rolling onto the rocks. All this cushioned the impact and saved the life of Wang and her child, but did not save her from serious injuries. While Yu was crying and screaming that he did not want to live without his wife and child, she opened her eyes suddenly and attempted to speak, but was unable to do so. However, at that moment, everyone noticed the genuine horror on her husband's face, but he quickly pulled himself together, leaned over to his wife, and said in her ear in Chinese that she should keep silent if she wanted to live. The case. Wang spent several days in a coma, hooked up to life support machines. Her husband spent days and nights in her room during this period. In actuality, Yu considered how to kill his wife without raising any suspicions. During the first interrogation, the victim verified her husband's claim that her fall was due to dizziness. But, after her husband left for a few hours, Wang requested the nurse to call the police again and not allow her husband to enter the room. Then, claiming that her husband had attempted to kill her, he related the graphic tale of her fall. However, the man's statement sounded incredibly unreal, and on the same day he was arrested. Sentencing and trial. Yu was convinced that his penalty would not be too terrible or that he would escape it, so he engaged skilled counsel and behaved quietly while inside. It is possible that the prosecutor handling the case was certain, hoping to get a substantial insurance claim and inherit his wife's fortune, which at the time was close to $2.5 million. The defendant was found guilty in March 2021 and given a life sentence. The life sentence was reduced to only 10 years in prison by a Thai court that displayed amazing leniency. Wang and her family expressed their surprise at the ruling, arguing that a light sentence would create a dangerous precedent and inspire more people to carry out similar heinous deeds. Our thoughts and prayers go out to those involved. We hope you enjoyed our true crime overview of the crime conducted in the national park in Thailand. Be sure to be a true crime subscriber and hit the bell icon to never miss another true crime video. Leave a comment and a like to show your support. Until next time, stay safe, and if you have a true crime story you would love to see, please be sure to leave in the comments below. We look forward to seeing you in our next video.